When I was 12, I convinced my parents to let me drop out of school and start homeschooling myself. I was a very strange child. I began homeschooling right away, and I designed and developed my own curriculum, mostly which meant I didn't spend a lot of time doing the things you normally think about as homeschooling. I built things. This is a site many of you probably are familiar with, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan. I started MuggleNet a month later, and MuggleNet is the #1 Harry Potter website and has been for over a decade. MuggleNet attracts about 50 million page views a month, visited by fans in every country in the world. I was managing a part paid, part volunteer staff of 120. We published 3 books, one of which was a New York Times bestseller. We had the #1 podcast in the world, MuggleCast, and I was able to get tons of awesome experience. I even got a call from J.K. Rowling out of the blue one day, inviting me to her house in Scotland to interview her on the day of the release of the 6th book. I played it cool, though. I said, Joe, let me check my schedule. Maybe I can fit you in. Yeah, our people will talk. So she's cool. She's every bit as cool as she seems, by the way. So I'm incredibly lucky. I feel like I'm the luckiest kid in the world in many ways. And after MuggleNet, which I did for a very long time, I did go to Notre Dame eventually. I started a company called Spartz, which is what we do now. So we get about 160 million monthly page views. And you probably recognize some of our sites, like Gives Me Hope. We're those guys. You see those things pop up on Facebook, and you're like, who does these things? That's us. So Gives Me Hope is a website people share uplifting, inspiring stories. You've definitely seen these iPhone autocorrects around the internet. That's us too, sorry. OMG facts, interesting facts, memes, rage comics. They're called rage comics, by the way, those ugly stick figure comics. You didn't probably know that, but they are. Motivational posters, a website where people share their secrets. I think you get the gist of it. So what I want to do today is I made so many mistakes, like really easily preventable mistakes too, and my mission in the next 7 minutes and 54 seconds is to make sure that you make at least one less mistake than I made, because it will save you so much time and energy. So the first one, so find your passion. You're already rolling your eyes. You're like, yeah, Emerson, you're like the 9,000th person who's told me that. And you're thinking one of two things. One, I know what I'm passionate about, but I'm never going to be able to get a job doing that. Or two, a very common one, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Well, here's what most people don't tell you about that. Finding your passion is not easy. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. You have to work at it. You've all heard that quote, choose a job you'll love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. Sounds great, right? Sounds great. Yeah, no one's going to argue with that. But that makes it seem really simple, doesn't it? It's not that simple. Like, what if I'm into video games? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of gamers in here. Like, trying to get a job in the video game industry, just because you like playing video games doesn't mean you're going to make a career out of it. You could. So let's modify that. I want to modify that. Instead of choose a job you love, you're going to work hard to find a job you love, and then you'll never have to work a day in your life. What does that mean? Finding your passion is the single most important thing you can do at this stage in your life. Because once you find something you're passionate about, for the rest of your life, you already know kind of what you're going to be doing. Now, to do that, it's really, really simple. I'm going to give you the secret. The secret to finding what you're passionate about is to try lots of things. Not some things, not a few things. Try lots of things. Hobbies, interests, sports, games, everything. You have to try it all. It's like dating. It really is, like falling in love with somebody. Falling in love, for those romantics, I apologize, it's a numbers game. The more people you meet, the more likely you are to find somebody who's awesome and you have chemistry with, and you would totally want to spend the rest of your life with. If you don't get out there and meet people, you don't fall in love. It's the same thing with finding your passion. You have to try lots of things. Now, trying lots of things, the school system is presumably designed to help you do that. The problem is, many teachers, while well-meaning, they can make things that could be interesting seem really not interesting. So you have to take control. This is way too important to let someone else try to help you find something you're passionate about. So what I did, I had a very non-traditional upbringing, as I mentioned, and so my parents had a totally weird rule that actually I'm really grateful they did. I hated it at the time, but they made me read 4 short, like magazine-length biographies of successful people every single day. I hated it. But I'm so glad I did it, because I was able to, I read about 1,000 different people, and just imagine what happens to your brain when you're 12 years old and you start spending several hours a day, every single day, immersing yourself into the lives of some of the most successful people of all time. You start to think really big. And that was when I decided I wanted to change the world. And I read about one guy and then led to another guy, and I realized I was actually really passionate about virality, making things go viral. I thought, if you understand how to make things go viral, that's the closest you can get to having a human superpower. I know you're thinking, iPhone autocorrects, really, Emerson? I thought if you can make things go viral, you can overthrow dictators, you can tip elections, you can start movements, you can revolutionize industries, limitless possibilities. But I never would have found that out about myself unless I'd spent all this time reading about people and just experimenting with different things. So some things that you could do, TED Talks are fantastic because TED Talks are like having the best teacher in the entire world who only has 10 minutes, so he's very concise and very to the point, and he takes things that otherwise could seem really boring and dull and makes them so interesting. I mean, the smartest, most creative people in the world sitting there, and they've got 10 minutes, and their job is to blow your mind. Now that's what learning should be. So watch TED Talks. Watch hundreds of TED Talks. You know, if you see a guy talking about physics and there's something that makes it seem so alive, watch more about physics. Watch more about chemistry. Watch more, whatever it is. Just dive in and keep going. Obviously, I did biographies. Documentaries are a great way. Some documentaries suck. Other ones are really good. Try lots of them. I watched a lot. Read at least one book per month. I read a book every single day when I was in college. I know, I said I was weird. I was. But at least read one book a month because a man who reads lives 1,000 lives before he dies. A man who doesn't lives only one. It's so true. You get to live the lives of 1,000 different people when you read. Learn how to code. This is like the single most valuable skill set that you can have in this year 2000. I hire a ton of developers, and I can't even tell you how hard it is to find good development talent or development talent at all. Just to give you an example of how like awesome this is as a career path. First of all, if you learn to code, you can just build whatever you want. Whenever you think, oh, this would be a cool idea for an app, you just go and build it. That's pretty awesome, right? You will make easily $40,000 to $70,000 a year with 4 to 6 months of training. What other professions can you spend 4 months training and earn that much money? Easily 6 figures when you've got a year or two of experience. Some easy ways of just making some money about it. You can do this right now. Learn how to use WordPress. WordPress is this online blogging platform. It's really easy to learn, but it's a little bit harder than most small businesses know how to use. And you can go around just like charging all your local businesses $2,000 or $3,000 to build them a website, and it'll take you like 10 hours, which is pretty good when you're 16 years old. This still works. I was doing this when I was a kid, and it still works nowadays because most businesses still don't have websites, so the websites are terrible, et cetera, et cetera. This is an easy way to make money and it'll give you skills you can get on to the next thing. This is one thing I really wish somebody would have taught me when I was your age, because I was a terrible conversationalist, and no offense, many of you probably are too, because no one tells you, hey, here's how to make good conversation. It's actually really, really, really simple. I'm going to give you the secret. You ask the other person lots of questions. Lots of questions, that's it. It doesn't matter what they're about. You ask them questions, and the conversation keeps going. And also, by the way, you ask other people questions, you let them talk about themselves. You are genuinely interested in them. They will think you're fascinating. And if you're trying to figure out what questions to ask, listen to adults. Adults are much better at this because they've been doing this for a long time. Listen to the questions they ask, and then use the same questions. What's new? Always works. You see someone for the first time, second time, what's new? What's new? Easiest way to get into conversation. This tip will be worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to you. If you spend 20 hours learning personal finance, I promise, over the course of your life, if you just calculate the hourly rate on that, it's worth tens of thousands of dollars an hour, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per hour. So this is just, you'll make a ton of money or save a ton of money if you do this. Jobs are really, really, really important. Find a job or jobs that you really want, and then don't just send in a resume with maybe a nice cover letter. Try really, really, really hard to get those jobs. Call the people up. Send them gift baskets. Like, do everything you can because it's so important to land at the right company. And by the way, don't pick money, pick learning. Everything in your early career is about what you learn, not how much money you make. This is a mistake I made. I really wish I had mentors growing up. I made so many dumb mistakes. I wasted so much time and energy chasing dead ends, spending money on things I didn't have to be spending money on. And if I would have just had at least one really seasoned business mentor, I would have been able to avoid tons of those. So don't make my mistake. Learn from, feel my pain, brothers and sisters. Get a mentor, at least one mentor. Ideally 5, even 20. Get 200 mentors. I don't care. Just get people who are really smart and they know what they're doing. Another tip. I know you're like, man, this is great. I'm going to have like millions of dollars when this is over. Spend 20 hours studying probability and statistics. You will make better decisions, and over the course of your life and your career, this will be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars for you, because you are some of the best and brightest in the Chicago public school system. So for you, the multiplier on being good at understanding probability and statistics and personal finance is going to be huge. The 80-20 rule, study that. I promise it's worth your time. Everybody's got them. And it's so hard. Everybody has them, and it's so hard to let go. But you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And just because you spent a lot of time with them doesn't mean you should spend more with them. Cut your losses. They say that gamblers, traders, cut your losses. They're not worth your time. You're all about to go to school. You're all about to go to college. College is this perfect period where you're incubated. And you've got this 4 years where unless you're working 17 jobs, which some of you will, and I apologize for that, start a business. And before you do, read this book. This will prevent you from wasting like hundreds of hours of time doing really dumb things that you can avoid. Please read this book. It's a must read before you go into business. I don't even know the guy who wrote it. It's just like, I wish I had this book. I wish I had this book. I wish I had this book. Start something. It's never been easier. It's never been easier. So please go do it. And you are awesome. Thank you.